Hi everyone, today I want to talk about something a bit different and more personal. Over the last 5 years, I spent almost $30,000 on camera gear, and I'm here to tell you what I've learned. Some lessons were pretty surprising, and some were honestly things I wish I knew sooner. Some of the things I learned cost me money, while other lessons revolve around what I wish I had known before I continuously collected equipment. So before we dive in, I just want to say that what I'm sharing here isn't necessarily about professional work setups. When it comes to work, your gear choice are crucial, and the best setup will always depend on your specific needs and the type of work you're doing. This video, though, is more focused on the struggles of finding the right camera for things like travel, personal project, or simply the joy of shooting. So let me share a few of those lessons with you. Now, first thing first, the more you spend, the less you get. This may seem like a bit of faulty reasoning at first, but let me explain. Initially, I was convinced that continuing to upgrade would bring me closer to the perfect setup. Over time, and after spending a lot of money, I realized that perhaps it's the exact opposite. When I bought my first camera, a Canon 200D, and then upgraded to the Canon EOS R a few years later, the improvement was massive. I could absolutely feel it. The image quality was outstanding. So upgrading from a camera that cost $300 to one that cost like $1,500 represented a significant jump. Then I made another upgrade. Feeling a bit stuck with the R system at that time, I bought my first Sony, the a7 IV. Convinced by some positive reviews, I told myself I needed a better autofocus system, a better dynamic range, 4K uncropped video, and so on. I expected to see a huge difference, but honestly, apart from the autofocus, the overall quality didn't improve much. I went from a camera that cost $1,500 to one that cost $2,500, and here the jump was less significant. Later, I bought a second camera, again convinced by some good reviews, to pair with my Sony, and it was the Fujifilm X-T5. Nowadays, I have a completely different setup, and with the Canon R6 Mark II, the C70, and the Fujifilm X100V and film camera. I could spend hours explaining why I think Canon is better than Sony or why I decided to switch from the X-T5 to X100V. But the reality is these are just excuses to justify my expenses. And here is the crucial point. Features like autofocus or burst mode, yeah, they do get better, but if you're not shooting specific sports, those upgrades are just a waste of money. They are something to show off most of the time, but not something that will change how you work every day. At some point, you stop getting more value from your money. Now, the second lesson is that you don't need many lenses. During these years, I bought and sold many lenses just to find out one thing. You really need probably two lenses. You don't need to buy the entire world of lenses to create great work. A 24-70 zoom and a prime lens, that's all you need probably. These two cover almost every situation. Or you could have two prime lenses if you don't like a zoom system, maybe a 28mm and a 50mm. Of course, sooner or later you might think the 15 to 35mm is exactly what you need to nail that specific shot. Or maybe that wonderful 50mm 1.2 to achieve that creamy look you see on Instagram. But then you realize end up always using the same lens while the other expensive piece of gear rests in your studio for a while. In my experience, the 24-70 does the job when I'm traveling or I need some versatility, and of course, again, the 28 and the 50 paired together are perfect for street photography to casual moments. You don't need 100 lenses stacking in your bag. You just need the ones that allow you to express what you want to capture. The third lesson is the fun factor matters more than the specs. It doesn't matter if you have the latest model, the fastest autofocus, or the most expensive setup. If the camera doesn't inspire you, you will leave it at home. Trust me, I've done it. That's why I switched back to Canon after selling the Sony a7 IV. Maybe it's the perfect camera for you, but the truth is I never felt completely inspired holding it. And let me tell you, not even my Canon sometimes inspires me as much as I would love to. That's why I still have the X100V. Right now, probably is the only camera that inspires me every time I carry it with me. Yet, probably I can't work with high-end clients using the X100V, of course, which is why I keep both. But to be honest, looking back in time, I would have kept my X-T5, which was more than enough. So a fun camera, a camera that just feels right in your hands, is the only one you're going to reach for every time. And that's the camera that's going to help you to create your best work. It doesn't matter if it's a Fuji, a Leica or a Canon. What matters is that it feels like an extension of your body. The first lesson is size and weight are crucial. I can tell you how many times I've packed my bag, loaded up with all my gear and then ended up using only one body and one lens. Nowadays, I prefer to go out with one camera and one lens, sometimes even with a fixed lens, rather than carrying around with a heavy backpack full of huge zoom lenses. The only exception I make is when I travel for long periods of time. In that case, I prefer to carry a second body, like my film camera or my C70, in case I want to document more videos, of course. But even then, I always make a decision: R6 paired with my A1, my Fuji paired with my C70. Or, like I plan to do in my next trip, I'll take the Fuji and the A1 plus my iPhone to film YouTube videos. So sometimes smaller setups are better. Compact gear means you are more likely to actually take it with you. At least for me, less is more. The fifth lesson is that the perfect camera doesn't exist. No matter how much you spend, no matter the brand, there are always going to be trade-offs. One brand may have better colors, another may have like a better autofocus, while yet another may look like nicer, like almost vintage. And even when you think you've found the perfect camera, trust me, sooner or later you will find better features in other brands. When I stopped chasing the perfect camera, I started seeing cameras as tools, and that made all the difference. Tools to create what I want to create, without obsessing too much on specs. The key is finding the tool that fits you. The last lesson is avoid being a fanboy. I don't know if it's because people won't admit that other brands might excel in certain areas, but many creators out there would swear that their camera is the best on the market because of such a specific feature. The reality is sometimes the right camera for you is the one that doesn't have the perfect autofocus, the best colors or a full-frame sensor. It's okay to admit that another brand or another camera will fit your needs better if what it offers is exactly what you need. Okay, wrapping up this long arguable topic, remember this: new gear will soon become boring too. That new gear or that lens you have been dreaming of, it will excite you at first, but once it's scratched up and becomes part of your regular kit, it will just be another piece of gear. Don't get too attached to your gear. The real value lies in the experiences, in the process of creating, and in how you use these tools to tell your story. And of course, for professional work, gear is critical, and everyone has different needs depending on their projects. But if you're shooting for yourself, for travel, or for the love of photography, this is where I think it's worth stepping back. So far, this is my experience. I would have loved to hear this myself before spending so much money on gear. I know gear can be a huge part of our craft, but it's also important to step back and think about what really matters. Let me know what you think about this topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And again, thanks a lot for sticking around. See you in the next video. Bye.